guy that's competing for the starting job at Auburn. I think it's going to be Calzada. Basically got, arrested, however you want to put it, for eluding police riding a moped without a helmet. We're going to talk about this a little bit more, but it's such a small thing. Do you think this shows me again that Brian Harsin does not have the full control of the Auburn program? What I mean by that is this would not happen in Alabama. Do you think that the Tuscaloosa PD would have a quarterback at Alabama in the quarterback competition on a little charge like this, get a mugshot taken and let it break? You would never know about it.
So it's the mugshot, not necessarily.
It's the it's optics. It's optics because he's already cleared bond. He's back practicing with the team. This isn't a big deal. He didn't, I guess anytime you break the law, whatever, I guess. But this is such a small thing. I just don't think at Alabama are places where you have full control. At Georgia, and people say, oh, well, when Georgia guys get in trouble, it's because, they got caught with something or something you get legitimately in trouble for. This, I don't think you'd ever see this happen at Georgia. I don't think you'd see this happen in a lot of places where guys have full control. Because it's just a bad optics look.
So you don't think he'll miss time for this?
No. Again, look, he didn't go Mario Kart on a moped. You're wearing a moped without a helmet. I wasn't there, but this is such a little thing, but the optics of it just doesn't look good. You just signed a deal with Amazon.
I know.
I don't think this would ever happen if it was.
What are you doing?
I'm with you on that. I'm not excusing it, but
what are you doing? Like this, you can't be acting like this when you're third on the depth chart. You can't. Bring me your playbook.
Bro, you would kick him off the team for this.
No, I wouldn't kick him off the team. But what are you doing? You're a quarterback. You're the guy everyone looks up to.
Yeah. Well, look,
you're the leader on the field. Leader on the field, leader off the field. You get held to what? Certain standards when you're a quarterback. This isn't starting quarterback behavior.
No, I agree.
You just knocked yourself a couple notches down already, and the season hasn't started. So I'm not surprised he didn't get away either.
Yeah, me either. Mario Cristobal is on a recruiting tear for the Miami Hurricanes. We're going to break down our ACC Coastal predictions, and Brittney Griner just got sentenced to 9 years in a Russian prison. I'm Jake Crane. It's Thursday. Welcome to Crane & Company. Absolute grand slam when they got Mario Cristobal to come back home to help resurrect the U to its rightful place in the college football realm. Now, you can already see the dividends paying off in recruiting and the structure being implemented, no more turnover chain, but you combine that with a ton of offseason momentum, and Miami looks like they are starting to return to form a little quicker than what people thought. In fact, I will tell you right now that Miami will play for a national championship within the next 5 years, and here's why. Mario Cristobal has the blueprint. He worked under Saban and others that have given him the ability to not only build a competitive football team, but also construct a legitimate football program that can contend on a yearly basis. Miami has all the tools necessary, and now that resources and facilities are getting a much-needed facelift, thanks to your local billionaire, the Canes won't be behind in the arms race for long. They're also located in a city and state with major talent surrounding them in all directions. And the U is a national brand. Kids from Washington, Idaho, and hell, even North Korea know who Miami is, and that's always a great feather in the cap. But the biggest reason I think Miami is on a major come-up is because Mario understands the game is won and lost up front. And the only way to not only knock on the door of the top, but to blow it open, is to have the quality starters and depth on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And he may be the best recruiter of big men in the country. And Miami already has one 5-star bookend tackle committed, and they lead for another. So the process is already starting. Long story short, Mario Cristobal is the guy who is going to bring Miami back to the adult table. And it's going to happen sooner rather than later. Bringing my co-host, David Cohn, mixture of Burt Reynolds.
God, it feels so jacked and tan today, boys.
You do. You've been in a good mood all day.
Let's go. Had a little Starbucks today. People ask me what I ate for lunch. You know what I ate for lunch? I ate a caramel salted mocha frappuccino.
Didn't you? Hey, say what you were saying before the show about when you order that drink.
You can't look tough and order that drink. So I make my voice deeper every time I order it.
You pull a Batman?
Hey, can I get a large caramel salted mocha frappuccino, please? Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks. Awesome.
I don't think you're the only guy that does that.
Does that make it worse?
No.
No?
It doesn't. It does not. Right. How would it make it worse? Let's be honest.
We'll poll baristas.
They don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll poll the local baristas around.
They don't know the way my voice sounds unless you listen to Crane & Company.
But back to the Miami thing. Guys, And Miami is different than LSU in that LSU is in a state where it's all about LSU. Miami, you obviously have Florida, you have Florida State, UCF, now going to the Big 12. But Miami is one of those programs. They're a national brand. We know that. I mean, you look at the 30 for 30s, the U, all this other stuff, but they are a program where if they have structure, like I've talked about with Brian Kelly and LSU, Miami can not only get hot, but they can stay hot. Kids will flock there. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to release these predictions for the Coastal in a minute, and I'm going to explain it even more in depth. But I'm telling you right now, looking and projecting going forward, and you look at the ACC, where it stands right now, we know Clemson's been the big dog. Wake has looked good. There's been a couple other teams. North Carolina has shown flashes. NC State, we're expecting big things this year, and Dave Doran's done a great job. But Miami can be on another level. It takes 1 year. That's all it will take is 1 year. With the transfer portal, you already seen what Miami's did. They brought in 2 offensive linemen from Oregon. You look at the way they're recruiting. Mario knows it has to be done up front. You will not overtake Bama and Georgia and Ohio State or have a chance to win those games if you don't have the cats up front. And that just is what it is. So I'm telling you right now, he's back home. He understands the lay of the land. I mean, hell, he was at FIU right down the street earlier in his career. And again, he played there. He was in the 30 for 30. This is a match made in heaven, and it is going to be hell for college football outside of Miami. I'm just telling you. Bama wanted this guy. Bama wanted Mario to replace Nick. You can say whatever you want about Lane Kiffin. It's not happening, okay, at Alabama. It's not happening. There's a lot better chances Bill O'Brien than Lane Kiffin. But Saban wanted this guy because Mario understands it, and he can recruit offensive linemen and defensive linemen as good as anybody in the country, and Miami is awfully dangerous, Cone.
Yeah. No, Mario Cristobal was clearly the right hire for this program. I agree with your point that the U has been and still is a national brand.
For sure.
Which is huge. And to your point, while they do have to share the state with Florida and Florida State, the state is big enough and has enough talent that they have the recruits right in their backyards. And honestly, you can consider Dade County to almost be a state in and of itself with how much talent is down there, especially at the skill positions. Now, he is going to have to go elsewhere a lot of times for those offensive and defensive linemen that you're talking about, at least consistently. The biggest stat that surprised me when I was looking up to prepare for Miami today was they've had one 10-win season since joining the ACC in 2004.
Isn't that wild?
Right after that dynasty when we grew up. Remember the Willis McGahee dynasties, Ken Dorsey playing quarterback for him. One 10-year season. So I think that Mario Cristobal is clearly the right guy to get Miami back to prominence, but they may have a situation where sort of like Oklahoma and Notre Dame have had to deal with recently, where they can get to the playoff fairly consistently, maybe win the conference fairly consistently, sort of like Clemson's been able to do in the ACC, but maybe not win national titles right away while you're still behind some of the programs in the SEC like Georgia and Alabama, and you have places like Texas A&M and Ohio already with a head start.
For sure. And this is my point. I want to hear the Booster Club on this as well, because people are kind of back and forth on Miami. It does take time to build depth because, again, and we've said this on the show all the time, it's not about your starting 5 on the offensive line. It's about your first 7 or 8, because attrition happens. It happens at a high level of football, especially when you're doing hand-to-hand combat there in the trenches. There's a reason they call it the trenches. And then you look at the defensive side. It's not about your first 3-down linemen, 4-down linemen. It's the guys that you can pull up when somebody gets hurt, when somebody's tired, when you need to bring somebody in on 3rd down that can still be effective. It comes down to depth. It's not a one-hit wonder situation. And Blaine, the biggest thing here to me is one of the knocks on Miami and Florida State, honestly, has been what? Facilities. Not keeping up with the times. Having to go far away from campus in Miami to go watch the game. The weight room not being the best. That is changing with what I believe Ruiz is his last name, the billionaire down there that's helping Miami kind of get back on their feet. You give Miami top-notch facilities, you give Miami big NIL abilities, and the sky is the limit for these guys. And again, Mario, to me, is the pilot that can take them where they need to go.
I agree. The thing with Miami, and well, especially with a lot of teams, is most teams, when they get a new coach, it's going to take a couple years to build that depth. The thing with Miami sells itself. Miami has so much tradition behind it that kids want to go play for Miami. And to show that you actually care about football, which is half the battle now with the facilities, everything becoming new. It's new and it's hot right now. And Mario's doing what? Building it how? Inside out. And that's how you said not win, correct? You said play for.
Play for. I think they're going to play for a national championship in the next 5 years. They may win it, but I feel a lot more confident saying they're going to play for it because, again, it does take time to build that quality depth, even with the transfer portal now, which, again, Miami gets hot this year, which I think they're going to. We'll get to that in a minute. I think you'll not only see the high school kids, and you talk about going out of state to get guys, that 1 5-star tackles from Massachusetts they're looking at. I mean, again, Mario can recruit nationwide. Blaine is right. Miami sells itself, especially when they're cooking.
Well, and another thing is, like, especially I kind of look at the ACC, too, as well.
Well, yeah.
I mean, the ACC right now, you say Clemson, you say Wake. I mean, Pitt had that great year last year with Kenny Pickett and Addison. So I think Miami, there's a seat at the table for these guys. And to get into the playoff, they have a good way to get into the playoff because there are some quality teams in the ACC. Hell, I just watched Cincinnati in the playoff.
Yeah.
I watched Notre Dame in the playoff. And if you get into a playoff and you don't run into a Georgia or a Bama or maybe Ohio State, then you have a chance to play for the title game. So, yeah, I can see Mario. I think it's half Mario and half Miami. People want, college football wants Miami to be good.
It needs
Kids
Miami.
want to go to Miami.
Well, that other half that you're talking about being Cristobal clearly isn't an important half because the other 50%, just Miami on its own as a brand, clearly hadn't gotten the job done.
Yeah.
Now, Miami should be an easy place to get to recruits to. This is what I've always said about Southern Cal, especially during the Pete Carroll years. Like, who doesn't want to go to Southern California where you win national titles and win Heisman trophies? That's why it shocked me that USC and Miami have both been down. Whereas at University of Michigan, my alma mater, it's a little tougher to get recruits there. Still, blue blood, national brand, all that kind of stuff. But they don't have the recruits right in their backyard like Southern California and Miami. And also, it's a little tougher maybe to get a kid from South Florida to come all the way up and play for the University of Michigan.
Yeah, and again, we talk about getting the kids there is one thing. Being able to recruit well is one thing. Being able to develop them is a totally different thing. And that's where I think Mario Cristobal. Is Mario Cristobal the greatest X's and O's coach of all time? No, but he doesn't need to be. He knows how to hire guys. Like I said, he has the blueprint. He got it from Dark Emperor Saban. He knows how to structure it to get that machine rolling. And Miami can be turned into a machine that you just feed good players into that new culture. No more turnover chain. He said, we're going to work. That's what we're going to do. And you combine that, like I talked about with LSU, you combine that with the type of players Miami can get, and it's very, very scary because, again, the teams that not only have success one year but are able to recreate that success and have a rebuilding year after winning the SEC championship, having a Heisman quarterback and losing the Natty like Alabama, is that you have culture, you have recruiting, you have development, and that blends to culture. Those are the three things that you have to have. There's a lot of different offensive schemes that work when you have really good players that know what they're doing. There's a lot of defensive schemes that work when you have really good players and they know what they're doing. But the stuff off the field matters so much, and that's where I think Mario is going to make the biggest gain. Accountability is back at Miami. It's back at LSU. Watch these two programs over the next 5 years and watch what happens.
Well, I think most kids want to be part of something new and fresh and hot. Right now they are. I mean, you got the new stadium, new facilities. I mean, the U's back, boys. I mean, we go back to predictions and said, hey, I got them. They're back this year.
Yeah.
And I mean, you don't say that a lot about Miami. You say it every year about Texas. But I believe in Mario. I really do. All right, father of four. He says he's an Oregon Duck fan here. Really bums me out to watch Mario leave, and he thinks he's going to do good at the U. But I'm optimistic about Dan Lanning and what he's putting together at Oregon.
Yeah, first off, father of four, you're a brave man. Congrats. My fiance wants 5. I feel like Steve Martin from Cheaper by the Dozen. But Dan Lanning was a great hire for Oregon. I put Dan Lanning's hire and Brent Venables' hire at Oklahoma very close together. I think what you saw from Oregon, and again, I don't want to give ADs too much credit. I think Cole Kubick made a good point. They're trying to make splash hires. It's not as much about identity. But I do think that Oregon went from that Chip Kelly, hey, it's going to be offensive and we're going to spread it out and we're going to try and tackle people every now and then. And look, you made it to the national championship game with those guys. Now you lost to Auburn and Cam Newton. But Mario Cristobal, the toughness that he instilled in Oregon, I think they like that. I think Oregon likes being a bully up front a little bit. I think Oregon likes not having to trick their way to beat you. And we know Dan Lanning is a defensive guy, but Dan understands it too. He was under Kirby, who was under Nick. It's the tree. It's the trust tree. We know how it goes. Oregon's in good hands. It's in a good spot. I'm very interested to see that Oregon-Georgia matchup earlier in the year with Bo Nix playing the Monstars from Georgia again. But Oregon's going to be fine. I love the new identity of Oregon, like I think I'm going to love the new identity of Oklahoma. Because, again, how many teams have won a national championship just being absolutely unbelievable on offense with a bad defense?
Can't do it.
You don't see it. You've seen teams be okay on offense with an elite defense and win it, but it's hard to work backwards because if you're not If you're going to be unbalanced, you'd much rather be unbalanced defensively a little bit to offensively, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Because good defenses typically have good special teams. Remember.
All right, Brendan Moore says, national championship game appearance might be a reach, but Miami being really good in the next 5 years is very likely.
See, and Brendan, look, I know I'll probably be one of the only people that go out on a limb and say that, but I don't say that for it to be a hot take or shock jock. I've been big on Mario Cristobal since we started this show. I've been big on Mario Cristobal since, again, when he was at Oregon. The thing is, when you look at all the factors, the ability to get players, a guy that knows the blueprint, knows the culture, knows the development, a conference where the path is easier than the SEC or the Big Ten. I feel like you look at all those factors, and Miami is going to put themselves in a position to not only make the playoff, but I think win a playoff game. The question is going to come down to what it always comes down to. Do you have the depth up front when you go against the big dogs to be able to have a 4-quarter fight and win? Can you line up against Alabama and run it on 3rd and 2 when they know you're running it? I know you're running it. God knows you're running it. Your family knows you're running it. Do you have the dogs up front to be able to do that? And Mario can go get him. He's already doing it.
Yeah, and another big factor is Clemson. Like, what does Clemson look like over the next 5 to 7 seasons? The ACC conference will be easier for Mario to navigate through than, say, if they were to join the SEC. But Clemson, like, clearly, we talk about all the time. Dabo Swinney has clearly built Clemson like an SEC team.
It's a machine.
And it's not like they've just won the conference, sort of like Oklahoma's been able to do. Won the conference, made the playoff, get blown out by 30, go home, but at least you're part of the conversation. No, they've gone there. They've won 2 of them. They've beaten the big dogs. So, and even last year, losing to the national championship by the national champions by only 7 in the opener. In a year where Clemson wasn't great. So let's see how the Miami and Clemson battle plays out over the next few
I think it's going to be a hell of a
I still
matchup.
think the biggest thing in this is the transfer portal. I mean, God, this can flip a team in a year. You get a couple guys, real deal guys out of the portal.
I'd say 2. I'd say 2 years because it's hard to. Well, because here's why I'm saying that. Because even if you're bringing really good players from the portal, they've still got to learn to play together.
Yes.
Like, you're bringing guys that haven't played together and developed that chemistry. If you're able, what I'm looking at is, are you able to get guys that are good from the portal that are going to stay for 2 years? Because then that second year, that's when that quality depth starts going, oh boy, you start looking at that roster like in Friday Night Lights, and you're like, oh man, we are loaded at every position, and the guys have played together. The Frankenstein experiment, we've seen it work. We've seen it work to some point. You see it in basketball all the time.
Yeah.
People wipe their rosters and bring in 5 new guys, and sometimes it doesn't work. Like it takes time. So I think it's 2 years. Remember the old adage was it takes 3 recruiting cycles. You got to give a guy 3 recruiting cycles. Well, now with the transfer portal being the wild, wild west and free for all that it is, I think it's 2 years. But I see your point. Now he's taken over a team that's not in horrible shape. I know the transfer portal kind of pillaged that defense a little bit, but they've done a good job bringing guys back in there. I think they're going to be fine on the defensive side, but the offense that he's inherited, and we'll get into that here more in a second. But Blaine, one back to the Booster Club, and let's get our predictions out.
Okay, David Vernon says, Miami will be good, but not great for the next 5 years. 5 to 10 years is when they will be a national championship contender.
Well, I want you, David, I want you to expound on that a little bit to me. I mean, the 5-year window, what is causing you to say that it's going to be the 5 to 10 year window outside of the 1 to 5 year window with Mario Tate? Because 5 years is a long time. I mean, Jimbo, I know it goes by fast, and college football is very cyclical. I get that. Jimbo's been at A&M for 5 years, but it feels like Jimbo's been at A&M for 5 years. Like, that's a long time. That is a long time in college football nowadays, especially.
And I said Miami had 1 10-win season in the
2004?
17 years since they've been in the ACC. That was Mark Richt's second year, and in his first year, he won 9 games.
Yeah, which, Mark Richt, we're big fans of Mark Richt over here. But, all right, I want to get to our predictions. Here's what I got. We did the Atlantic yesterday. I had Clemson winning it, Wake going 6-2, NC State going 6-2. But I got Miami winning this. All right, I got them going 7-1. The only loss I have is at Clemson, at Howard Rock, because, again, Clemson's so dominant at home. Look, looking at the roster offensively. You look at speaking of Clemson, Gladney coming over. You've got weapons on the outside. Parrish coming in from Ole Miss, who's a really good player. You bring in 2 transfer offensive linemen from Oregon that we know can play. I do not worry about the offensive line while Mario Cristobal is the head coach. So I got Miami going 7-1. You look at the schedule, pretty favorable. Your biggest games are at home outside of at Clemson. Now, Pitt was really hard for me, guys. I almost picked Pitt here. One huge reason is they returned their whole offensive line, which is absolutely massive. We know Narduzzi's a good defensive coach. I think they returned 6 all-ACC selections on defense. I know they had a couple big losses, but I think Pitt will be fine. Keaton Slovis, big question mark. Interested to see him. I believe they're getting their running back as well. I may be mistaken there. But when I look at Pitt's roster up front, then outside, I know, again, they lost Jordan Addison, but it's not like they don't have anybody over there. They got an Akron transfer I like a whole lot, who I think is going to have a big year. I got Pitt going 6-2. Then North Carolina. And I know Sam Howell's gone, and then, they lost guys before, but they returned Josh Downs. I think May's going to win that job, the 6'5" guy that can run. But if you look at the talent on North Carolina's roster, they've got a lot of talent. Gene Chizik coming in as the defensive coordinator. I'll look at the schedule. I've got Pitt, by the way, losing to Miami and to North Carolina. They play North Carolina on the road. I've got North Carolina losing to NC State, losing to Wake Forest, and losing to Miami. But I think they have enough talent to pull off a couple upsets and have a pretty decent year. Virginia Tech at 4-4. Brent Pry, very interesting hire from Penn State. Fuente wasn't able to get it done there. You lose Burmeister to San Diego State. I just look at the roster. I'm not super duper excited about it. I don't think there's a ton of standouts that I look at on Virginia Tech and I'm like, man, they got studs everywhere. I think it's just going to be kind of a mid-year 4-4. Virginia 3-5. Tony Elliott taking over after Bronco Mendenhall stayed put. Brennan Armstrong. I'm big on Brennan Armstrong. The offense, the weapons they have on offense at receiver and quarterback are deadly, but the offensive line is a huge question mark, guys. And that is one thing that can kill an offense quicker than any other. So I got Virginia going 3-5. Our buddy Jeff Collins at Georgia Tech, number one, that schedule is just absolute savage brutality. I got him going 1-7. It'll probably be Jeff's last year. Then he'll end up getting a job at Bama. And then Duke, Mike Elko. Love Mike. Leaving Texas A&M, going there. But, man, that roster is about as talented as me eating a hot dog. So I got Duke going 0-8. You hate to see it, but look, I think it's, man, that division, especially the first 3-4 teams in it, you're going to have some good competition. It's going to be some good fighting going on there.
Go ahead, Blaine.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and bring mine up here. I mean, not much difference here. All right, I do have Miami winning it. I'm going to 7-1, but I got to lose them to V-Tech on the road.
Really?
V-Tech on the road. Hey, Grant Wells, baby. Marshall
sneaky.
The kid is cold.
Yeah, needs to quell the turnovers a little bit.
That's fine. We're going to learn.
Cold.
We're going to get better. Cold. We're going to be on that roller coaster, but we're going to trust it. # big trust. Then Pitt, 5-3. Pitt going to have a great defense. I mean, you do lose Kenny Pickett and Jordan Addison. I mean, I'm not going to just sugarcoat it. That's 2 big losses.
How do you feel about Slovis? Mid?
Decent.
Mid?
Decent. I think he's defense, but I'm more leaning on that defense. They do return starters up front, so I think Pitt will have a good year, but not the best year. The North Carolina, same boat. 5-3, you're going to have a quarterback battle. The real question is going to be the defense. What can Gene Chizik? They'll always be good on offense, in my opinion. Just the schemes they have, it's going to be nice. They'll have receivers, good backs. I'm going to go 5-3. That defense has to get better. Virginia 3-5. I mean, the offensive line is horrendous right now.
Yeah, it's a bad.
You got 2 FCS transfers.
Well, I think one of them decided to go back to Georgetown.
Okay, exactly. And if people are going back to Georgetown and not Virginia, it's not looking.
Yeah, unless you're playing basketball.
Yeah, but I do think Brennan Armstrong is a stud, so I think they'll go 3-5. VT 3-5 too. One of those big wins at Miami at home. Believe in Grant Wells. I think he's going to win the starting job, but I think it's going to take some time for him to get adjusted to the speed a little bit different when he was at Marshall. Things will be sped up, but I think Virginia Tech go 3-5. Duke, baby, you got to beat 1-7. Come on, Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl, boys.
You got to beat Georgia Tech on the road?
I do.
Wow.
It's a huge stretch.
Well, listen, I like
a huge stretch.
I like
really
Jeff
going
Sims.
out on a.
I know they brought in a new OC. They're going to run more of a pro-style offense. You're going to see some heavier personnel with tight ends and stuff. Jeff Sims is a guy that he can make plays. Duke's roster is just, they're going to have to send FEMA in there. It's such a natural disaster.
You brought back 3 starters. Like, it's not like Georgia Tech's out here is like, yeah, let's go through this roster.
Losing Gibbs hurt
about a lot of things. And another thing you have to think of with Georgia Tech is that schedule.
I know.
They're going to be banged up.
Yeah.
They're going to be beat up. Let me pull this up.
Look, we talk about the schedules in the SEC, and obviously they're tough. There's no tougher schedules than the SEC. But this one Georgia Tech has is just murderous.
Okay,
go ahead. Go through the whole thing.
Do schedule first.
Do what?
Want to do schedule? You want to do yours first?
Pull their schedule.
Okay, week 1, guys. Hey, let's play some football. You got Clemson.
Wow.
Week 2, I think you have like Western Carolina.
Okay, we're
something
getting
like that. Hey, guys, let's go play Ole Miss.
Good luck.
Okay, then you go to UCF. Then you go to Pitt. Then you got Duke at home. You're going to be beat up.
You got to win.
You're going to be 1-3.
It's a must win.
You have to win.
All right, then you got Virginia at home.
Got to win.
You go to Florida State. You go to Virginia Tech. Got Miami at home.
Best of luck.
Go to UNC. And then you got to play Georgia.
I mean, you're out of conference.
Wow.
Just read, just read the out of conference real quick.
Ole Miss, UCF, Georgia.
Oh, that's tough. Why?
Oh.
Why? All right, let's pull up David's graphic.
All right, bring mine up. I looked at this Miami and Pitt matchup for about 15 minutes. I really thought I was going to have Pitt winning this side of the conference. I have Miami and Pitt both going 6-2. I think they both at least dropped 2 games, with Miami winning the head-to-head. And basically, to me, it came down to where that game is at. It's the last game of the season. It's at Miami.
Tyler Van
I'm
Dyke,
going to go with
baby.
the home field advantage there. I think Miami, Mario Cristobal starts off hot, so I have them both 6-2. And then UVA actually have 5-3 here.
Wow,
just because I know they have a new coach, but Brennan Armstrong is such a great quarterback.
He's so good.
Such a great quarterback. They have weapons on offense like you talked about. How bad will the offensive line be? Look, Brennan Armstrong, he could have transferred out. He could have transferred out. He decided to stay. Clearly, he has faith in the program. Let's see how that shakes up. As far as North Carolina goes, I have them 3-5 right now because, that schedule is really tough, and they lose Sam Howell to the NFL. But I have so much respect for Mac Brown. They brought in Gene Chizik, like you said. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they were to overperform that. Then Virginia Tech 3-5 as well. Look, I love Jeff Collins. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great guy, and I think he's going to have a lot of success in the game of football throughout the rest of his career. But that schedule you just read is brutal, man.
Brutal.
I went ahead and gave him the win against Duke at home. Like Jake said, it's a must-win, and I have Duke going 0-8. But I hope that Jeff Collins can figure out a way to surprise.
I hope he can. So who's your second loss for Miami? You know,
I have what each of you have. I have Clemson and Virginia Tech.
Yeah, you have. Okay, gotcha.
Is it really a must-win against Duke?
Well, if you look at that schedule, there's a couple you mark it and go, listen, we have to win this, or it's going to be. It's one thing to be ugly. It's another thing to be like Uncle Fester in a bikini ugly. I mean, it's bad. It's a bad situation.
That's ugly.
What's the Booster Club say?
Now, Mike says, ask Creighton Company, which college football team this year is going to look the most steady?
The most steady, it's going to be Alabama. That's an easy answer. Next.
Did y'all see Stetson Bennett's haircut?
We got a fade. He went full metal jacket.
Okay, Micah Kelly. I never recruited a running back named Micah Kelly. He ended up playing at, what was it, Toledo? He's really good. Love the show. Watching from Honduras.
Nice.
I love it, Micah. He said, question, fellas. Of the coaches in the state of Florida, FSU and Florida and Miami, who will be the first to get fired?
I'm going to go Mike Norvell because they're going to have to give Billy Napier time. Again, it's so weird for me to say that Florida's roster isn't super talented. They're going to give Billy time. Look, Mike, especially with the momentum that bringing Mario to Miami has. I mean, again, Florida State, they're not getting that big bump in resources. They're still kind of stuck in the Truman Show where everybody's just riding bicycles around and everything looks good and it's the same every day. Nothing ever changes. Until that changes, it is going to be tough to compete with Miami. And Miami starts off hot and Florida State doesn't do good. They haven't had a winning season since 2016.
That's what
winning regular season since 2016. I think Mike's going to be the first on the chop block because they're going to try and get some momentum. They're going to try and go get Deion Sanders, and he'll probably take it.
Okay, Ben Everson says about the transfer portal, the 1 year, he said Michigan State flipped it all in 1 year because of Kenneth Walker.
No, not
I wouldn't say flipped it. Not just because of that. I wouldn't say they flipped it all. Now, Mel Tucker's another guy to watch out for. You've seen the way he's recruiting. He just went down the state of Alabama and grabbed a pretty daggum good offensive lineman. But Mel knows. Mel's from the same tree as Mario is. Again, you can start to see the lay of the land of the guys who are having success. They all know the blueprint, and they know where you got to start first. It's at the line of scrimmage. You can get all excited about wide receivers and DBs and safeties and running backs and all that stuff's cool. But if you're not good up front, it doesn't matter. It's not a sandwich if you don't have the bread.
And Mark D'Antonio left a great foundation.
He did leave a great
foundation.
Okay,
a great foundation. So I don't like this idea that Michigan State just had a great year just because they got one transfer running back in or just because they got a handful of transfers. You made the most important point earlier, which is football is just different than basketball. Yes, you can go and collect a couple guys for a basketball program that can completely change your season. But as far as football, you bring in a couple really good transfers. You need to add them in addition to the cohesion that you've already created by stacking a few classes on each other, especially if you want to go beat the likes of Alabama or Georgia or Texas A&M.
Yeah, there's an old saying in recruiting. When I recruit you, I take on your personality. When you get here, you take on our personality. And that's true in the transfer portal as well. One more there.
All right, Joe Bob Tar Heel, hashtag Ask Creighton Company. What team do y'all think will be a dark horse this year?
Just overall? Mm-hmm. You know, when we say dark horse, I think we got to say to make the playoff, Oklahoma. Oklahoma to me. I think people are sleeping on Oklahoma. I think they're sleeping on Dylan Gabriel coming back with Jeff Levy. I think they're sleeping on Braden Willis, on Helms. I think they're sleeping on the defense. We know what Brent Venables can do. You look at the linebacker situation they have at Oklahoma, they're going to be better on defense than they have been. I'm telling you guys right now, and y'all know who I got playing in the national championship game. I got Alabama beating Ohio State. I got Georgia making the playoff. I'll go ahead and say it. I'll say it. I got Oklahoma making the playoff this year, fellas. I got Oklahoma winning the Big 12 and making the playoff. I really do. I think they do it in year one.
Are we considering Oklahoma a dark horse?
Well, I think I don't think, again, if we're going to talk about dark horse of making the playoff, then yes. If you're talking about a team that maybe is going to go from the cellar to being somewhat relevant again, I would have to say Miami, even though technically they weren't in the cellar, but
I'll
they
go
were hanging
Southern
out in
Cal
the basement.
then. If we're doing that, I'll
USC?
go Southern Cal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wake Forest.
I like
Go
that too.
Wake Forest.
Are they really a dark horse, though, after what they did last year?
They're more of a dark horse than Oklahoma.
Really?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right here. Well, Oklahoma's a lot better odds making it.
You're talking about making the playoff. You're talking about Wake making the playoff.
I just say that. Yeah, I just say.
What are the odds on Wake making the playoff?
Oh, they're not even on here, so it's low.
Oh,
Probably
what are the odds on Oklahoma making the playoff?
13%.
Okay. 13, that's actually higher than what I thought it'd be.
Michigan's 18. Texas is 18. Notre
Really?
Dame is 18.8. Clemson's 57.4.
What's Bama, 99.9?
Georgia's 73.1. Bama's 79.5.
Bama's got an 80% chance.
Ohio State is 83%.
That's because of the
Higher
Big
than
Ten.
Alabama.
You got Bama at 80%, Ohio State at 83%. That's dominance. You want to know what dominance is? That's dominance by numbers. We're going to get back to the Booster Club here in a second as well. But if you want to watch the rest of this amazing show, head over to dailywire.com. Remember, we're still going to have the audio here. And check out Daily Wire Plus. Become a member. Listen on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share it with your friends. Or I'll get one of Mario Cristobal's offensive line recruits to give you a little visit. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, thanks for hanging with us. Cone, we're going to get back to the Booster Club soon, but let's play a little rapid fire because I'm feeling emotional right now.
Boom. Brittney Griner was in fact sentenced to 9 years in Russian prison today. Much like we suspected, they thought the trial was sort of just a formality, and that she would go ahead and be convicted in order to go ahead and expedite this prisoner swap.
Yeah, well, if you thought there was going to be a fair trial in a communist country, then again, as I say, there's some beachfront property in Indiana I can get you for a great price. Here's my thing. 2 things can be true at once with this deal. All right, it's ridiculous they gave her 9.5 years. But it's also ridiculous she tried to sneak drugs into a country that we're in a proxy war with, basically. It's dumb. It's just dumb. The minute they knew that she was high profile, because again, if this is a regular civilian, I wonder how much press this would get. Not nearly what it was getting. I bet if it was certain players, it wouldn't be getting this amount of press. But we're going to get her back. But the sad part is you made such a stupid decision that now we are going to have to give an arms dealer back to Russia who basically funds terrorists, okay, because of that decision, to get you back. You know, the place that you disrespected, the place that you said was horrible and stuff like that. So, again, I hate, that this situation presented itself, but there's a reason this situation presented itself. When you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And her making this decision and not being smart about it has now put us in a position where we have to trade a horrible person like we got to trade the guy that John Wick fought in the first one to get Brittney Griner back. And it's just a bad situation. And like I said, I don't want to hear a word from Brittney Griner anymore about anything disrespecting America. I don't want to hear it again. It's a bad situation. She shouldn't have got 9.5 years, but you shouldn't be in that situation. You played with fire and you got burnt. And now we're in this position. So it is what it is.
Yeah. The NFL is appealing the ruling of Deshaun Watson's 6-game suspension. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. I told you, again, Sue Robinson, why even have that job? But what's the point of having that job?
Yeah.
If the NFL could just go and say, no, we're going to appeal it. Now, I think they should have, because I think it's BS, especially with what Sue Robinson said. It being as egregious as it was, one of the worst things the NFL has ever reviewed. And we heard Adam Schefter talking about the NFL's looking at an indefinite suspension. But here's my thing. the message that you send by only suspending him 6 games, and people say, oh, well, he sat out all last year. You were getting investigated, man. Like that's a lot different, okay? It wasn't something where, you had already been found guilty of something or you were cleared and had to sit out a year. That's not the case. So people that say that, you're muddying the waters and you're having to reach for something. Yeah, he didn't play because he was getting investigated. That's how these things happen. But you just look at the NFL and the next person that does this, if you're only going to get 6 games, what type of precedent are you setting for this? So to me, I'm surprised they did it. I'll be surprised, if the outcome is indefinite. I don't think they'll give him an indefinite suspension. But look, Roger Goodell and them are pushing back. All we did was add a middleman that doesn't matter now. Or a middle woman, whatever. It's just ridiculous.
I think the NFL saw the public reaction. The NFL does this a lot.
But you knew the public reaction was going to be like that.
And then they made their decision.
So do you think that this appeal is genuine or it's just an appeal in name only?
Yeah,
you think they genuinely want him to be suspended more games? No?
No, I think they saw the reaction of the public and like, okay, well, we need to somewhat try to look like the good guy in this and make sure we try to come down hard. If the public would have reacted different in some way, no, we wouldn't be
That's
talking
interesting,
about this
because I did say this was a win-win-win, basically, for the NFL, right? You get a star back on the field. You get to, Roger Goodell and the NFL can say, look, our hands are clean of this situation. Yeah. We had a third party investigate it.
Well, I laugh when people are like, oh, the NFL wants him gone. No, they don't. They don't want Deshaun Watson gone. They want every franchise to be good. They want every franchise to drum up PR and get people excited. So that means they want the Cleveland Browns franchise to be good. Well, if Deshaun Watson's the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, that upgrades the profile of the Browns. That upgrades ticket sales, jersey sales, concession sales. So anybody thinks the NFL wants him gone, you're living in fantasy land. Mm-hmm. That's not the case. It's just, that's not how it works.
Yeah, so I was surprised by this appeal, but not to say that they couldn't be doing it just to appeal, knowing that nothing would change.
In name only.
It could be. All right, 11 PGA Tour players, including Phil Mickelson, have filed an antitrust lawsuit against the PGA Tour. Thoughts on that?
Not shocked. You knew this was happening. Look, I said this when this tour started. This thing's here to stay, and it's only going to grow, and it's only going to get bigger. They're dug in. Like guys are set. You saw Bryson DeChambeau's interview. You're watching. I said the minute some young guys start to go over there, that's when the PGA Tour is going to get worried. But not only that, now they are going after the PGA Tour in court. Now, I know they have big backing. I know they got a lot of money. People feel a lot of different ways about it. But I can go through a lot of things that are touched with blood money, basically. Let's put it that way. But these guys are not going away. They are not backing down. The LIV Tour is here to stay. I'm telling you guys.
Well, the reason this is a sticky situation is because, obviously, we have a podcast here. We can't just go create another podcast for some other company at the same time, right? Mm-hmm. But for that, we have a salary, we get paid. These guys aren't employees. So that's what makes it interesting. They only get paid for performance-based play if they are to make cuts. So as far as the players are concerned, they're saying, well, I'm not really on salary for you, right? I'm not on salary. I need to go play whatever other tournaments I can.
They're contractors.
And the PGA Tour is saying, well, you have to ask us permission to go play on any other events, and they generally grant them up to 3 a year. And in the case of LIV, they said, no, you can't go play in any of them. So that's basically the crux of the antitrust lawsuit.
Yeah, well, they took Heinrich Stenson from being the captain of the Ryder Cup team for Europe because he was going over there to play. I'm just saying, it's going to get nastier. It's going to get a lot nastier before it gets better, but they have a point. You aren't employees. You're not. So the PGA Tour,
you are members of.
You are, but you're not. But in the eyes of the law, at least in my opinion, you are not taking a salary from the PGA Tour. Look, here's the thing: the PGA Tour is running a monopoly. Okay, they're running a monopoly, and somebody with enough money.
Not really. What do you mean by they're running?
But PGA Tour is the only tour that really mattered.
No, there's a European tour.
No, all those guys playing the PGA Tour. Do you think kids grow up thinking? Well, they try and make the PGA Tour. Name one player who's turned down the PGA Tour.
That's like saying the NFL is running a monopoly.
I mean, they basically are.
Well, okay, but not for any tyrannical reasons. It's just because.
Oh, I'm not saying it's tyrannical. What I'm saying is it is what it is. It doesn't have to be tyrannical. You want to know what's tyrannical to me? Somebody else starting a league that has money and has backing,
what I'm saying
that has your players, and then you try and cut them off.
If the PGA Tour has an event at the end of the season, the Tour Championship, where the winner gets $20 million or something like that, and they have members who they grant memberships to, and they want to say, you can't be a member of our membership any longer, they have that right to do that.
Oh, no.
as well.
Again, I am not saying they don't have the right to do something. What I'm calling out is calling a spade a spade. The PGA Tour is way bigger than the European Tour. That's not even close. You think Rory McIlroy cares about the European Tour compared to the PGA Tour? That's like comparing the USFL to the NFL.
Who's saying the European Tour is as big as the PGA Tour? I'm just saying the definition of a monopoly is one. I'm saying there are other tours that exist. You can play other golf in the world that's not the PGA Tour.
Well, yeah. Well, there's other places that sell stuff that Walmart sells, but it's not Walmart. Like, what I'm saying is that the PGA Tour has been the top dog and been able to run things the way they wanted to. You remember when, and you've brought this point up, you remember when no women can be at the Masters, we're going to pull all the advertising. You know what the PGA Tour said and what Augusta said? Fine.
But but that's not the PGA Tour. Augusta National is its own thing.
It is, right? But again, it is thought of, the Masters is thought of on the PGA Tour. Like, you don't think of the Masters on the Hooters Tour. You don't think of the Masters on the European Tour. All I'm saying is the PGA Tour finally got some competition. And the players who aren't employees, you may be a member. Hell, I'm a member at a golf course, but they don't pay me to go out there and play. I pay them. So my thing is, I feel like it's one of those situations where somebody had a good idea. Somebody had enough money to do it. Somebody said, you know what? We'll pay you a salary even if you don't make the cut. To complain, a lot of players said, you know what? That sounds great, because the odds of me winning a major every year or winning that $20 million ticket every year as opposed to making an actual salary for playing in tournaments is two totally different things. And it's an interesting argument, but I'm more looking at kind of the vitriol of it, David. Like, I think it gets a lot uglier before it gets cleaner, and I just think they're here to stay.
Well, I think it's going to be hard to win an antitrust lawsuit for some of these guys who are going and making $300 million, right? There's a difference when, like, if you get fired from an organization and you're making $0 and you say, no, there was antitrust there because this place has a monopoly and they squash me. That's different than guys who leave voluntarily and are going to go make more money elsewhere than they are on the PGA Tour. I think that's going to be very difficult to show the necessary harm that you have to have in an antitrust litigation. The bigger way for them to win an antitrust is if the PGA Tour is putting pressure on the majors to not allow these guys to play, because the PGA Tour does not control the majors. So if they go to Augusta National or they go to the USGA or the PGA of America and say, y'all make sure you don't allow LIV golfers to play in your tournament, now you have a situation.
Yeah. My main point is the confidence of these guys to bring this lawsuit. That's more, because I'm just looking at a point of, will this LIV thing work out? Like, that's what I'm looking at it. Kind of like, will the USFL thing work out? Will it turn into the G League of college football? Will the XFL work out? Which, by the way, we got football tonight.
And some guys left. Some guys gave up their membership. They said, we don't want to be a part of it.
And I don't think
we're done. These 11 are the ones who want to stay and compete in the Tour Championship.
They're trying to double dip.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which,
Smart.
All right. Okay. So you were talking about TJ Finley earlier. Yeah. What's the update on that?
It said, I believe it was Nathan King, I saw on social media, he's a beat writer for Auburn, said that he'd already cleared bond. He's already back at practice. Again, I wasn't there. The story's still developing. What it sounds like is he was on a moped, didn't have a helmet. I don't know if he was going to get pulled over, if they turned the lights on, and he just took off quick like in a corridor and hit Diagon Alley and ended up on the train to Hogwarts. I don't know. But, I'm surprised TJ Finley got away, because I've seen him try and run.
I mean, did he really get away, though? I just looked at his mugshot.
Well, they caught him on traffic cameras. Because, again, how many 6'7" guys are rolling around on a moped?
I'm a grown-ass man on a moped. Why do I have to wear a helmet?
Look, I'm not talking about the rule, but the point you brought up in the pre-show, it's a bad look either way for any player, but especially a quarterback that's fighting for a job, a quarterback that just got a deal with Amazon, the first college player to ever do it. I mean, I bet Jeff Bezos is over there,
I mean, it's a bad look for Brian Hartson, too, in my opinion. It's not a good look. And Brian's, let's not sit here and to say Brian's not, that seat ain't hot. Because that seat is hot, buddy, especially all the offseason stuff you went through. Yeah. You have a quarterback who's getting arrested, fleeing on a moped.
And all these programs have kids getting in trouble, though.
But all these programs don't have head coaches that are on a hot seat, and all programs don't have a head coach who just went through what Brian Hartson went through.
Well, again, here's my thing. Why, as the coach, again, and people say, oh, well, speaking about tyrannical, my quarterback's not riding on a moped, man. Like, I'm not, what a bad risk. Well, what a bad risk. Like, again, I know Cam Newton rode around on a scooter. I would have driven Cam Newton around everywhere. I would have personally chauffeured Cam Newton. Why take the risk? Again, it's Fernando Tatis. They ask him, hey, how'd you break your wrist? He was like, they were like, it's a motorcycle accident? He's like, yeah, which one? Like, what are we doing? Like, be smart.
Why do I have to wear a helmet? I'm a grown-up on a moped. You're arresting me for not wearing a helmet?
Take it up with Auburn.
Like, do you think that if Cam Newton didn't have a helmet on, they're like, Cam, put your arms behind your back. So no.
They're like, Cam, can you sign this?
Yeah, like Cam will gonna run through a car. Like TJ's a huge kid. Like these are I guarantee you go to 99% of college campuses, they're kids, especially football players, who are riding around on mopeds. I've seen it myself. I've done it myself without a helmet.
Yeah,
we got to start caring more about football.
Oh, all right. That's a good one. Do you want to go to the Booster Club real quick?
For sure. I would love it. Hey, funny question here. Okay. Mark Herman, hashtag Ask Crane and Company. Have you fellas watching? Give me a chance, okay? Have you fellas watched the Netflix series Last Chance to You? And if so, what's your take on the show and the style of coaching that seems to be the theme of the show?
Yes. I'm actually undefeated on Last Chance U. When I was a young buck in coaching, I was at Jones County when we beat East Mississippi in the first game. I was at Iowa Western when we beat Independence. I was at Jones County when we beat East Mississippi the first game. And then I was at Iowa Western when we played Jason Brown at Independence, and he sat in a hot tub with athletic shorts and a cigar and said he was an offensive savant, and then we beat him 71-20. They were so bad.
Beat him at Fort Scott, too.
Yeah, Fort Scott, too, against Independence. That's exactly right. But no, Buddy Stevens, some of those guys, let's just say I was, JUCO is what JUCO is, and you see the outhouse and then you see the penthouse. It's a little bit different, but it was a really good series. It kind of gives you a light into what goes on at those places. And believe me, there's a lot more that you didn't hear. But no, that was really fun because I guess Jason and didn't realize. I think on the episode we watched before we played them, or when it came out, he was like, oh, they're just a bunch of white guys from Iowa or something, not realizing we had Mekhi Sargent was the starting running back at Iowa. Davion Nixon, the starting D-tackle at Iowa. Chester Graves, who was a 5-star defensive end. This wasn't a bunch of kids from Iowa. They're from Florida and Texas and Georgia, and that's how you get dropped by 50.
Yeah, they were trash when we played them before Scott, to be honest. Well, the thing about it, they imploded on themselves.
They just turned against. The quarterback went to the coach halfway through the game and said, hey, let me call the plays.
Yeah,
that's never good.
It's like Jenga. You're just waiting for it to fall apart. All right, we got a question here from The Worm. Hashtag Ask Cranico. How do we feel about Mississippi State football this year, boys?
Okay. This one's so hard for me, guys. We love Mike Leach. Just had him on the show. Okay. Will Rogers, to me, I think he's one of it. And Blaine, you made a good point. Maybe the second most NFL-ready quarterback in the SEC. I just don't think they have the horses around him. I do think they have a chance to beat A&M at home week.
They always have a game.
They always, and it's weird. Mike Leach always wins a game he shouldn't in between September 20th and October 10th. Going back to Washington State, go look. He almost beat USC one time in that time frame too at Washington State earlier in his career. I don't think Mississippi State has a big time year in the conference. I believe I have them going 2-6. I have to look that back up just because of the schedule. But I love Will Rogers. It's just, again, Mississippi State's kind of been Mississippi State for a while.
Man, they're going to have a tough go at it in the West. But Will Rogers is a great quarterback, and I just want Mike Leach to stay there for a long time.
Mike Leach has to be protected.
Win enough games, please. You're a national treasure. National treasure.
All right, Josh Ragan, hashtag Ask Crane and Company. Who do you guys think the ACC should target for expansion? I think West Virginia, Notre Dame, and maybe a reacquaintance with Maryland all makes sense.
Well, Notre Dame's going to go to the Big Ten, I think, if they go to any conference. We had Brandon Marcello from 247 Sports yesterday, and again, and I don't want to use geography because geography doesn't matter anymore. Just look around the country with conference realignment. I think Notre Dame's going to go to the Big Ten. West Virginia is a perfect fit in the ACC. They're right there. They're literally in the middle of where the ACC is. Again, Neil Brown, love what they have going on over there. Going to be interesting to see how it goes with JT Daniels. Maryland and Mike Locksley. See, I think that'd be a better conference for Maryland to be in with the style that they play just in the Big Ten with the big rough and tumble guys up front. I don't think it's a great fit conference-wise for them. So I love those two picks. You get Maryland with Locksley, with the way he recruits. Again, little Tua, we'll see how they do this year. I don't have them having a phenomenal year. They play good against the teams that are bad, and they play bad against the teams that are good. Until that changes, they're not going to have the type of success that shocks me that Maryland hasn't had. Because if you look at just the DMV, There are dogs running around everywhere. I've recruited that area. You look left, it's a 5-star. Look right, it's a 5-star. Look up and down, oh, it's 2 5-stars and a 4-star. And Mike's been recruiting good, but I love the Maryland and West Virginia fit in the ACC, and it's just part of the jigsaw puzzle. I think it'd work.
All right, Brendan Moore. I'm going to get 2 questions here.
2 chains?
Right, one question, one's a comment. One's for you, David. Brendan Moore says, should the NFL get rid of the preseason or at least drop a few games? And MJ Breyer says, why does David Cohn say Ohio when referring to Ohio State?
Ooh.
It bothers me. Ohio University is a totally different school.
Tell them why, Cohn.
Are they different?
Tell them why, Cohn.
They're just the Ohio Buckeyes. That's
why? Where'd you play at, Cohn?
Look, man, I played at the University of Michigan, and they're Ohio, and, we'll see you around Thanksgiving.
Well, what do you call the Ohio Bobcats?
They're just... Are they a different team? I'm confused.
Well, that's why I'm so glad I got this big Michigan
They're just the
State
Bobcats.
What about the NFL? Should the NFL drop the
Greenwood.
preseason? Should it drop a couple games?
I think they should drop a couple games. I think it's too long.
Really?
I think a couple preseason games is good, especially for the young guys, new guys in the system, kind of getting used to it. You give guys a chance who may not have made the roster to show what they can do when the lights are on. Because, look, some guys play different than lights kick on.
Yeah.
You know that as well as I do. There's some guys that ball in practice, and all of a sudden, you got 60, 70,000 people out there and the lights are on and you got somebody in a different jersey in front of you, you kind of disappear like you put an invisibility cloak on. Other guys rise to that occasion. So I think it should be a little bit shorter. And we got NFL football tonight, Cohn.
Yes.
I know Trevor Lawrence isn't playing. I know Derek Carr isn't playing. But I don't care. I've waited so long for this. USFL, cool story, bro. All the other stuff. We get actual football, the Hall of Fame game tonight, and in my bets, because I had to take 3 because I got the Cubs-Cardinals Nerfy postponed yesterday. There's some football flavor. There's no way the kid wasn't taking a couple football bets. You can say what you want. Oh, the game doesn't matter. It's a Hall of Fame game. It matters to me because they're going to be playing on a 100-yard field that's 53.5 yards wide. There's going to be 11 men on offense, 11 men on defense. It's going to be on TV. And where I'm from, we call that football. By the way, did they ever catch that gorilla that escaped from the zoo and punched you in the eye?
The search continues.
Nice.
All right, Mike wants to know, do we have a future head-to-head by any chance?
Whoa, we do.
Mike, are you in our meeting?
Mike, were you? Yeah.
Are you in our
Wait a
meetings?
minute.
Mike?
No? Mike.
He's behind the Michigan State
Mike!
party
I knew
side.
it was him.
All right. Yes, we do. Should we tell him the subject now or should we?
Yeah, let's tell him.
Let's tell him the subject. You tell him because it was your idea.
Look, I don't think there should be in-season trades in professional sports, and I will argue that case.
And I will argue the case against it, and Blaine will get to wear the wig and the old British wig
With
and
the
the judge robe on flaming drag. Or, well, we're going
On a flaming.
We'll see when we drop it, though.
We're not doing it live?
Well, you don't know.
You
don't
know,
know.
hey, hold on. Stop giving away all the. You'd be terrible to work at KFC.
Well, I'm not going to lie to
Blaine
the
be
people.
giving out the KFC.
I'm not gonna
restaurant
lie to
first
the
day you got
people.
there.
Here you go.
Yeah,
I'm
here
not
you
going to
go.
lie
go.
to the people. You saw my speech. I'm a man of the people.
You have a mustache. You're a liar. It's like you said that you're a man.
How
of,
dare
you said you're a man of the people.
How
You
dare
said you're a man
No
of
one says that. No one looks at a man with a mustache and calls him a liar.
I'll tell you what. You say you're a man of the
Take it
people,
back.
but you're never in the chat.
Take it back.
Sorry.
I live in the chat.
You're never.
I pay rent there.
Well, then
On the
you're
14th
wasting
of every
money.
month. Cone's never in the chat.
And if you know what we're talking about,
I'm in the chat.
we
You
have
ain't
a
in the
booster
Twitter
club
chat,
chat.
Oh, not
on
yet.
Twitter.
I need y'all to show me how to do it. I accidentally
You
hit
know
the,
how to
I accidentally
do
hit the Dumb and Dumber sound too. By the way, I apologize.
You know how to do it.
You
hit
talking
the
about
Law and
Twitter?
Order sound. We don't play it
Huh?
enough.
The which one?
Law and Order
sound.
one.
Oh, the Law and Order one. Hold on. Moving a little slower here. Hold on.
You got it.
Here we
Figure it
go.
out. Yes.
There we go.
Nice.
Now, what chat? What are we talking about?
Twitter chat.
The Twitter chat. I need to be.
Yeah, I got called out yesterday on it.
You did, and you should have.
I
What
should
did they
not
say?
have.
You should
I
have.
should not have.
What
They
did they
said
say?
Blaine said he's a man of the people, but he's never in the chat talking to the people because he's
I'm-
a tyrant. He's a dictator,
Really?
and he's a man with a mustache that is a liar.
Is this the Twitter one?
Yeah.
Which
no,
one
the
is
thing
it?
about it is like, I'm in the Twitter. I read it. I don't comment that much because I'm in the
Then
chat
you're not
every
in
day.
it.
I
Then
am
you're
in
not
it.
in
Is
it.
it the
I'm
Booster
in it
Club?
to win it.
Is it the Booster Club?
Yes, the Booster Club.
I just want to tell them how much I love them.
Yeah, please do. I'm going to head over to the Board of Emotional Truth, Justice, Love, Loss, Life, and Levin. So here's what I got today. Got to take 3 bets, all right? Yesterday, first inning didn't really go as planned because the Pittsburgh Pirates decided to look me in the eyes and laugh at me. So first, I'll never forgive you.
Understandable.
But today I'm taking 3 bets, 2 and 3 on the month again, guys. What do we say? What do we say? We want it to be even until we get to football. Do we count preseason football bets as true football bets? I don't know. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, you count them as
Beauty.
football bets.
Okay, but I'm talking. You know what I'm talking about? Like week 1 college football. Let's rock and roll. Week 1 in the NFL. Look me in the eyes and love me. Here's what I got today. Look, did a lot of research on this Raiders-Jags situation. Okay, I get it's the preseason. Like I said, there's not a lot of people playing. I like Lutton at quarterback. All right? I like his abilities. You got Jared Stidham on the other side. You got the kid from Southern Miss, I think, as well. I just don't believe in the Raiders right now. The depth at the key positions. Devontae's not playing. We know the Dogs aren't playing. I think the Jaguars have a little more to prove. I think the Jaguars have a little more depth on the outside. So I'm taking the Jags money line tonight, plus 112. I'm not going to sit here and take them plus 2.5. Scared money don't make any money. It's a brain blast. Give me the Jags money line, plus 112. Then I'm taking the over at 30.5. I know unders hit a lot in the preseason, but when you look at this game, all the other preseason games, the one on Thursday, August 11th, are all 34.5, 34.5, 34.5. This one is 30.5. I'm feeling give me 2013. Give me 6. Give me 21 to 10. That's all I need. Over 30.5. The math's right, Blaine. Don't look at me like that.
No, I'm not. I'm just laughing on the inside because you use a Jimmy Neutron reference.
Oh, okay. Well, you said I look like Jimmy Neutron.
Let's make that a thing.
No, we're not going to
make someone make a GIF?
No. Don't hijack this.
Please make that GIF.
Don't hijack this. So I'm taking the Jags money line, the NFL over at 30.5. That goes off at minus 107. Then I said I'd never bet on the Braves again, but I lied. I'm taking the Braves, Mets, Nerfy, plus 110. Kyle Wright for Carrasco.
Yes.
Going to Tabasco.
So you are a liar.
See? Go ahead, David, before I strangle my brother.
Bet buds, Braves, Mets, Nerfy, plus 110. I want some of that Kyle Wright.
Say it again in my ear. Whisper it again in my ear.
Braves, Mets, Nerfy.
I love it.
Or Nofer.
Nofer.
Richard calls them. How about Padres, Rockies, Nerfy, minus 135? And I also have to take 3 bets today because the teams and the people.
It's not his fault.
It's not my fault.
At this point, I feel like you're doing it on purpose.
I feel like Ben Stiller in heavyweights. It's not your fault.
It's
not your fault. It's their fault. It's their fault.
You have lost it, and you will pay the price.
So as my third pick, okay, I thought you might like this a lot. I want Phillies money line, plus they score first in the game, plus
what?
Nerfy.
Love that.
At plus 340.
Man,
Syndergaard on the mound.
3-way parlay, Syndergaard on the mound for the
First
Phils.
start for the Phils.
Shove.
Love that, guys. Hey, I'm loving the vibes coming from both of you right now. Hey, good day yesterday, 2-0. All right, let's see if we can keep this rolling a little bit.
You've been keeping us steady.
All right, yeah. Houston, Cleveland, Nerfy, Verlander's on the mound. Zach Plesac for Cleveland. I know he's 2-9 on the season, but the kid can spin it.
Please throw a good first inning.
Like, the kid can spin it. I mean, he's thrown over 100 innings. I think his ERA is 3+. That's pretty damn solid. The Guardians, hashtag the Indians aren't just as good as this. All right, then you got
the Guardian Indians?
The Indians that were guarded by Cleveland. Give me the Blue Jays and Twins. 2 good arms on the mound today. Nerfy minus 115. Guys, I'm not going to get off the train until it kicks me.
Don't get off the train. Don't get off. Here's the question, though. You have another big month like you did last month. College football starts at the end of this month. I mean, how dedicated? I mean, are we talking about?
This is different. We're landing on different planets now.
What do you mean?
How many bets are we taking? We're going
to talk about that.
Exactly. So it's going to be a lot of different factors that weigh into it. I promise you, all right, I want to bet football. My favorite thing to bet is football. But it's hard for me not to have a Nerfy bet in there every day.
Look, I'm with you.
If there's only 2 bets, then I don't know if I can bet a Nerfy bet. I just want to bet college football. Well, if we get into the span of 3 to 5 bets, then a Nerfy bet.
Well, on Saturdays, we're going to have a lot of bets. On Sunday, we're going to have at least 5 like we talked about. The big thing is, before Maction starts, before the Fun Belt starts, before those early week games start, you're going to have baseball to bet on as well. Now, NFL, you have Monday Night Football. We always know a Thursday night game. There's a Friday night game in college.
I won't bet any preseason.
So you're out on the preseason. But again, college football season starts at the end of the month. So it just is what it is. Baby
like
Cone.
A spring game.
Yeah, it's not realistic.
Yeah, Baby Cone right now, look, it's early in the month. He's 1-5, but he's 80-57 overall. Again, can you be mad?
Grab my hand, Dace. We'll go together.
Grab your hand.
Look at his bets.
Aim for the bushes. All right. Y'all got the same bets.
Come on, baby.
Y'all are double bet buds.
Y'all are yesterday. He got his first win. He had the Angels.
Are you saying you're carrying Baby Cone this week? Or this month? You're carrying Baby Cone this month?
No, there's no carrying. We're not carrying each other. We're going to hold.
Well, he's a toddler. You have to carry him.
No, he can. He's crawling around. He'll be walking around soon anyway. So we're going to
hold hands. We're going to
walk down the road as equal men.
Cone, how cool would it be if his first steps were in this studio live during the show? I don't know.
How cool would it be when his first steps be on the field at Michigan?
Whoa. See, now you're just...
We don't have any plans to be up there.
All right, so Blaine, Baby Cone's taking the same bets as Blaine. We're going to see, Blaine, real quick, Booster Club. We got a couple minutes as I knock David's computer off his table.
I got it.
Anything worth mentioning there?
Well, I'll put a poll out. All right, and the poll is, will Miami play for a national championship in the next 5 years?
You're first, David.
Tony,
Yes.
You are first.
Yes. 54%.
I'm going to say no.
Yes. 39%.
Wow,
No,
not a lot of
they
belief.
don't believe.
Good. Good. I'll Tom Hanks this thing. I'll be on the island all by myself talking to a volleyball till it happens. I don't care.
Wilson?
But Mario this time. But we do have our top play.
Yes,
O'Neal
we do.
Cruz, the 6'7" giant from the Pirates who plays shortstop, hit a ball last night that went all the way to Hogwarts. Let's go ahead and play the clip. This is what happens when a grown man connects with a big chunk of wood in his hands with a baseball that's thrown pretty hard at him. Play the clip.
O'Neal Cruz.
Oh my God. That ball's a line drive. Off the top?
Look, and if you want to do something, if you really want to know how a ball got hit, okay, if you run this clip back, close your eyes and listen. You hear that baseball hit that bat. You know this ball's gone.
Let's do it all together. All
That's
right.
fine.
Play the clip. I'm closing my eyes.
O'Neal Cruz. And a drive to right
You hear that?
center.
That's gone.
You know what it sounds like on those Bigfoot shows when they're like, they can hear him knocking on a tree.
Yeah, that
On
ball's
those
gone.
Bigfoot shows.
You know where they're going to find Bigfoot and they never find him? They always lie. It's like the Curse of Oak Island. Like, hey, there's gold on here somewhere. 8 seasons later, they found like a piece of silver and a shoelace.
8
They're like,
seasons later? I
yeah.
missed that
But like, it literally sounds like they're like, listen, Bigfoot's knocking on a tree. That's what that sounded like.
Did you say Yankees over there
Yeah, I did.
before that clip started?
I did.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
It's only a matter of time.
No, don't.
It's only a matter of time.
The Pirates ain't getting rid of that guy. Well, you know what? I say that. The Pirates.
Don't
You know what?
speak too soon.
I don't want to
Talking,
speak too
Jake.
soon. No. I don't want to speak too soon. But that's our top play from last night because, and funny thing is, I think Reynolds had a walk-off home run for the Pirates last night, but O'Neal Cruz's home run was so impressive, I wanted to play that instead. We all decided on that. I think we agreed. Blaine, real quick, parting thoughts.
Parting thoughts. Jonathan Herndon says, Blaine, when will your caterpillar turn into a butterfly? I don't know.
Is that a mustache thing?
It's a mustache.
Oh, you're talking about like that?
yeah.
Whoa.
I don't know if I'm going to Raleigh fingers this thing.
Dude, I think you could pull it off.
Yeah, but I don't know if I want to try to
You
pull
start
it.
looking like Doc Holliday.
You know, I'm
Tombstone.
okay, another question. Mike, is it
Huckleberry.
GIF or GIF?
Did you say the same word twice?
Did I?
What?
You don't
what's
even say
going-
it's GIF.
It's either GIF
It's
or
GIF.
what? GIF.
GIF.
It's GIF.
Stands for graphic.
No, it's
The
actually
hard
been
G.
it's been found, like the answer's been found as GIF.
GIF.
It's already looked up. Like, look it up.
GIF.
Like,
I don't
look it
know.
up.
GIF sounds right to me.
It's
Don't care what
GIF.
the
Well, let me
creator
ask you
says.
this.
GIF. I'm
It-
100%.
Okay.
Stands for
Since you're
graphic.
100%, what if you added a T to an end of it? What would you call it?
Gift.
A gift. A gift.
GIFT.
There you go. I win. Ha ha ha. So make sure you're following us on all other platforms. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. We got some more great content coming up tomorrow. A great Saturday special for you where we're going to rank the best athlete performances in movies, which there's some good ones, and believe me, there's some absolute flaming disasters. But tomorrow is Flamin' Dragon Friday. Make sure you go to the Daily Wire Plus, subscribe on all platforms, like I said, and like the chances of me being grown-up Jimmy Neutron.
Brain blast.
We're going, gone.